It's got to be the oldest question there is. What happens after we die? For pretty much all of human history, that question has been met with, well, a mix of fear, faith, or just a simple shrug. But what if there's a totally different way to look at it?
Right. What if we've been looking at this whole thing backwards? Instead of some final, scary endpoint, what if death is just a change of address, a shift in how we perceive things? That's exactly the idea we're going to dive into today.
So our guide on this little journey is a really unique and honestly pretty influential collection of writings called the Seth Material. These texts came about back in the 60s from an author named Jane Roberts. She said she was channeling or transcribing a non-physical personality called Seth. Now, whatever you think about where it came from, the material itself offers this incredibly detailed and often surprising map of the afterlife that's fascinated people for decades.
Okay, let's start at the very beginning, or I guess the very end, the moment of death itself. According to this material, you kind of have to forget everything you've seen in the movies. It's a completely different take.
Now, just think about that for a second. That's a pretty radical idea, right? We're so conditioned to think of death as this huge, traumatic event. But Seth's perspective is that being born, squeezing into a physical body, adjusting to this brand new, bizarre world, is actually a way bigger shock to our consciousness. Death, when you compare the two, is more like coming home. It's a return to a state that's actually more natural for us.
And this just puts it perfectly. Think about it. The leaves fall off the trees in autumn, but we don't think the tree is gone forever. We know it's just getting ready for spring. Death isn't a dead end. It's just a natural part of a cycle. It's your awareness transforming into a new way of existing. It's a rhythm we see all around us all the time.
So let's be super clear on this point, because it's a big one. Your body, the physical shell you've been driving around in, it does break down, of course. But your consciousness, your awareness, that core feeling of I am me, that does not disintegrate along with it.
Okay, here's a cool way to think about it. Imagine your physical life is like wearing a pair of super focused virtual reality goggles. They only let you see this one specific physical reality. Well, according to Seth, death is just the act of taking those goggles off. Suddenly, you're not limited to that narrow view anymore. You're released into this much broader awareness, a whole new field of action and experience.
All right, so if you continue on, what does that self even look like? Do you turn into a ghost, an angel, or just, a puff of cosmic dust?
This hits on a really common spiritual idea, and for some people it's a real fear, that we just lose ourselves, that our individuality dissolves into some big cosmic soup. The Seth material is very, very clear on this. That doesn't happen. You don't get absorbed. You remain you.
So, what exactly sticks around? Well, pretty much everything that makes you, you. Your personality isn't wiped clean. It's still the main way you experience things. All your memories, the very building blocks of who you are, they stay with you. Seth's view is that these aren't just temporary files, they're eternally valid. And maybe most important of all, your ability to grow and learn doesn't just stop. In fact, it's about to kick into high gear.
Now this is a fantastic analogy. Think about your current personality, everything you are right now, as just one role an actor is playing. Maybe they're playing Hamlet tonight. But the actor is so much more than just Hamlet, right? They've played other roles, and they have the potential for countless future roles. After death, you become aware of the whole actor, not just the single part you were so focused on.
Okay, so this leads to a really interesting question. If you're still you, with your personality and memories intact, then where exactly are you? What's the scenery like?
And this is where things get really mind-bending. The afterlife isn't a physical place you can find on a map. There are no pearly dates or fiery pits in a literal sense. Instead, it's a reality where the landscape is psychological. You just naturally drift toward other consciousnesses that share your beliefs, your ideas, and your general state of mind. It's a reality that's organized by thought itself.
And this is the absolute key to the whole thing. You build your own reality. Your thoughts, your beliefs, your expectations, they construct the world around you. And without the built-in time delay of the physical world, it happens instantly. So if you are absolutely convinced you're headed for a fiery hell, well, you will literally create and experience that for yourself. If you expect a beautiful, peaceful heaven, that's exactly what you'll encounter.
The easiest way to wrap your head around this is to think about dreams. When you're dreaming, a stray thought can change the entire scene in the blink of an eye. The after-death world works on a similar principle, just with way more clarity and control. Your consciousness is the engine, and your beliefs are the blueprint.
So that brings us to the final, and maybe the most important question of all.
If you keep existing and you're creating your own reality, what's the point? Do you just float around in your own custom-made paradise forever?
Nope, not a chance. This quote just completely shatters that whole idea of a passive, eternal rest. The journey of consciousness is an active one. It keeps going, there's work to do, but it's the joyful work of creating and expanding, not drudgery.
So the purpose is to keep on learning and keep on creating. You're still responsible for what you create with your energy, just like you are here. The difference is you start to learn how to work with energy in new, more powerful ways. You become a more conscious and capable partner in the job of creating reality itself. It's really just the next step in the journey you're already on.
So in the end, the picture the Seth material paints isn't one of doom and gloom and finality. Not at all. It's one of joyful continuation. It describes death as this lighthearted, giant step forward into a bigger reality. It's just the next, vital, creative chapter in the endless adventure of being you.
And that really leaves us with the big question to take home. If death isn't an end, if it's just a transition to a new creative adventure, and if you take your personality and your memories with you, well, how does knowing that change the meaning and the purpose of the life you're living right here, right now?